I sometimes think Oscar came from the fact that I was a kid from a very poor immigrant background. You know, poverty super duper sucks. I think there's a few ways of saying it. Poverty gets even worse if you're surrounded by money, which is an American, you know, sort of dilemma. My situation was I was like a poor kid who was put into college. I guess they call them grads growing up, they call them college prep. And you know, the top levels classes, I guess they call them. And I guess I had so much contact with nerds. You don't get into a college track unless you're a fucking nerd. And then on top of that, I was meeting a whole diversity of nerds. And then I went to college, I went to the state school in New Jersey, and every Dominican, African American, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Colombian, Filipino, every kid came from a poor background of color who was in this school. And their whole community was considered a major nerd. Even if they themselves were posting up like they were like hardcore. There's college, who's in college? You guys ever notice like the straight men of color in college? Like how much they're just like, yeah. It's like thug-alicious. It's kind of not everybody, of course, it's a different generation, but when I was in college, every kid in college, every male in college, especially wanted to seem like they were super thug in a way to sort of mask what we really were, which was we were fucking herbs. Believe me, you didn't get to college because you were stabbing kids out on the corner. That just didn't fucking happen. But of course, there's one dude in the back right now who's going, oh, fuck, yeah, I stabbed niggas, yo. And I think there was this entire erasure. There was this entire erasure among the men of color that I grew up and went to college who were performing this hyper-masculinity of secretly how nerdy we were and how much in common we had with with someone like Oscar. I think that it was just, we just wanted to pass for cute and pass for cool, so you erase how smart you are, you know. And Oscar just seemed like the perfect instrument to deal with this. I think being a kid who did that in college, I was like super smart, which doesn't much count for anything in this country. But in my world, I was super smart. Doesn't mean I'm smarter than anyone else, but this is the way your family picks it. And I went to college and sort of, I think I spent most of my time in college trying to convince people that I was a thug. It was very amusing, you know? Well, because I came from a very poor background and kind of was rough around the edges, it was kind of an easy game to fall into. And I think Oscar was, in some ways, out of that experience, you know? He just, the biggest nerd humanly possible. In some ways, a nerd like that has a way of outing other nerds. We can point at them and make fun of them all we want, but part of us recognizes ourselves in them. Yeah, I don't know. It was the roommate. Okay, so I'm going to read something and then take some more questions and then read something else. Yeah. So who's ever heard anything read from this book before? Anybody, have I read to anybody here? Guys, why do you come back, yo? This shit never change? I'm being real serious. So, I'm going to read something old and then something new. The new really stinks. It happens. You know, anybody who here writes knows that usually it takes a very long time to get anything that you're working on to sound even remotely good. So I'm working on something now and it sounds extra bad, so I'm going to read a small piece of it because sometimes it happens, yeah. But I'm going to read the whole thing, which is done, so I've gotten it as cute as humanly possible. Whether it's truly cute or not, I don't know. But, so we'll read the good thing first, and then the lame thing second. Yeah? All right. I'm trying to like waste time because my readings are so short. I almost forgot, just quickly, people from New Jersey, anybody? Shit, yeah. They didn't make any noise. Anybody from the Caribbean, raise your hand. Dominicans, raise your hand. Wait a minute. More hands went up. Guys, I love you to death, but if you're Dominican, you are Caribbean. Bueno, esta vaina está afuera de control. Yeah. Okay. We already have the writers. Okay. So, oh man, here goes. This is just a small piece, short. It's called Alma. Alma. You, Junior, have a girlfriend named Alma, who has a long, tender horse neck and a big Dominican ass that seems to exist in a fourth dimension beyond jeans. An ass that could drag the moon out of orbit, an ass she never liked before she met you. There isn't a day that passes that you don't want to press your face against that ass, or bite the delicate sliding tendons of her neck. You love how Alma shivers when you bite her, how she fights you with those arms that are so skinny they belong on an after-school special. Alma is a Mason Grove student, one of those Sonic Youth comic book-wearing alternatinas without whom you might never have lost your virginity. Grew up in Hoboken, part of the Latino community that got its heart burned out in the 80s, tenements turning to flame. She spent nearly every one of her teenage days on the Lower East Side, thought it would always be home, but then both NYU and Columbia said no to her, and Alma ended up even farther from the city than before. Alma is in a painting phase, and the people she paints are the color of mold. Now, for real, I haven't moved, and I got in 20,000 photo stadium. That is like some amazing shit. You would actually think I'm like mad cute. I don't mind, but I'm gonna say, I promise I will move, and that will improve your photo shoot. But right now, you don't need another one. No, I'm just thinking, it's like, wow. I always feel bad for the people who have to do photography because they have to take like 5,000. And when you're doing some static shit like reading, the photos are all like. So I'll move away from this and I'll move a little more for you. Alma is in a painting phase, and the people that she paints are all the color of mold. Look like they have just been dredged up from the bottom of the lake. Look like they've just been dredged up from the bottom of the lake. Her last painting was of you, slouching against the front door. Only your frowning, I had a lousy third world childhood, and all I got was this shitty attitude, recognizable. Alma did give you one huge forearm. I told you, she said, I would get the muscles in. The past couple of weeks, now that the warm is here, Alma has abandoned the black, started wearing these nothing dresses made out of what feels like tissue paper. Wouldn't take more than a strong wind to undress her. She says she does it for you. And when you see her on the street flaunting, you know what every nigga that walks by is thinking because you are thinking it too. Alma is slender as a reed. You are a steroid-addicted block. Alma loves driving. You love books. Alma owns a Saturn. You have no points on your license. Alma nails are too dirty for cooking. Your spaghetti con pollo is the best in the land. You are so very different. Alma rolls her eyes every time you turn on the news. Says she can't stand politics. Brags to her girlfriends that you're a radical and a real Dominican, even though on the Platano Index you would not even rank. You brag to your boys that Alma has more albums than any of them do, and that she says terrible white girl things while you fuck. Alma is more adventurous in bed than any girl that you've been with. On your first date, she asked you if you wanted to come on her face or her tits, And maybe